Hi, my name's Stephen Hand from Archery Supplies. Today I want to do a review on the Pandarus L3. This comes from China. It's a kid's bow. Metal riser, fiberglass limbs, metal cams. Comes with a sight, comes with an arrow rest, peep sight and D-loop. About $170. Weighs about 1 pound, so it's very, very light. As light as a plastic bow from Toe Point. But it's a narrow grip, so you can get less torque. Well, you should get less torque on the string, so less likely to derail the bow. Fingers crossed. Draw length goes up to 28 inches, and it goes down, just from my memory, down to about 17. But I'll put those stats on in the video. The poundage goes up to about 45, so this should be on maximum now. Maybe it goes to 35. I've adjusted the draw length. This is a rotating cam. I've adjusted the draw length to maximum. So when I first did a review on this bow, I was comparing it to a little Hoyt just because I was interested in how the bow was. And I was like, this bow's amazing. So now I've set the draw length to maximum. And I'm going to say that it doesn't feel as good as it does on the shorter draw lengths. It's not as much valley on the longer draw length. And at the 28 inches, you shouldn't really be shooting this bow. This is for kids. The other problem with this bow at the longer draw length is because it's so short, axle to axle, it means it's a very acute angle when you draw it back at 28 inches. At the shorter draw length, you'll be fine because it's not an acute angle. So because you're big and this is creating a very tight angle, it's moving the peep sight a long way away from your eye. As a result, I'm having trouble getting this whole sight into the picture. Now, the other problem I had, you'll see this sight here, it's pointing downwards. If you spun this around and this moved upwards, to get me to be able to shoot 15 meters, which is what I'm shooting here, this sight is up as far as it can go. And the only way I could hit the target would be to flip it, so I'm moving this up even further. So now that mightn't occur for kids because the peep sight will be much lower down, because as you increase your draw length, this peep sight's moving up because the angle's becoming more acute, so therefore this is moving up, if that makes sense. So at the shorter draw lengths, your peep will be down here somewhere. And as the draw length increases, this will move up, same as basically any bow. So it comes in 4 colours. It's nice paint finish, fiberglass limbs. Now the arrows, I wanted to get some arrows that were I would have liked to get some arrows that suited this bow. However, I didn't. These arrows are my old recurve arrows. These are Victory VAP 600s. They'll be like 29 inches. So they'll be too long and too heavy. Probably for the poundage which this bow is on and the draw length, you're probably into the 800s, 900s spine. So these are going to be too stiff, but they'll still shoot. Spine is not as critical with a compound as it is with a recurve. With a recurve, the arrow has to wrap around the bow, so the arrow's coming out bending. With a compound, it comes out pretty much straight. Now, when you're shooting the bow for the first time, and I've been shooting forever, stand really close to the target. This I did not do when I shot this bow. I stood about 5 meters away from the target and I shot the arrow with the sight pin in the middle, and the arrow went straight over the target, and I broke a Victory VAP Elite arrow, which is not good. So just be close to the target when you're first sighting in a bow. That wouldn't normally occur, but it occurred because I wasn't aware of the dynamics of this bow, because most bows are normal, but this is very short. So let's see how it shoots now. There's 2 targets down there, and which you'll see later, I'm actually aiming at a lower target to hit the higher target because I couldn't move the sight up enough. So let's see how it goes. It feels smooth to shoot. I'm getting a bit of this when I shoot it. With lighter bows, you'll feel more vibration and more shock because there's not as much mass. So let's see how we go. will say last time when I shot, last time just before filming, the arrows went to the right, and that wasn't a bad group. I shot about 3 arrows. They were to the right of the target in the aim. So I don't know if they'll be there, but I'm more interested in the grouping, what they group like. So today is Easter Friday. Junior Nationals are on in Canberra. So a whole bunch of kids are over there competing. Now I missed, and the reason I missed is I aimed at the wrong target. I aimed at the top target where I'm trying to hit instead of aimed at the bottom target because I was talking. But it was a good shot, but it's a miss because I aimed at the wrong target. Now, last year when I went to the Junior Nationals, I noticed a lot of the kids, and I'm talking about small kids, were having bows which are way too big for them. What I liked about this, it's 1 pound, so it's not going to be too heavy, and that way as the child builds strength, so it becomes stronger, you can add weight, so stabilizers, back stabilizers, and build up to a bigger bow. Now, I want to talk about float. Float is when the sight pin moves around. So when you're aiming, you're kind of getting a picture like this. Some bows it's very steady with, and some bows you move around a bit. Now, some people say it's the design of the bow and all that. Now, I shoot recurve. Prior to 2 days ago, I was very, very steady. The sight pin would just sit in the middle of the 10 and wouldn't move, and it was a nice experience for me. Then 2 days ago I hurt my wrist somehow. It's like it's sprained, and I'm getting a lot of float now, so I'm shooting appalling. So today I've just been doing cardio, some weights like leg work. So I haven't been pushing this wrist because with the recurve it really hurt, and it just made it very hard to release the arrow. So with the float, with this bow, when I'm aiming, it's moving around the gold. So it's in the 10 about 50% of the time, and in the 9 about 50% of the time. And that's okay because it's short and I'm not stretched out, and it's short. It would be better for smaller kids. So smaller kids are going to shoot this better than I will. Now in this video, I want to just comment, because I normally waffle on about other stuff while I'm shooting a video. So Archery Australia put up lots of pictures of the kids shooting, so I'm going to throw up some of those pictures in this video now. It was very clear to me that, okay, so let's start this again. You can have success with all different forms. Okay, so there are people who don't have very good forms but shoot really, really well and then become world champions. But that is not the norm. The norm is that all the archers look very much the same, and they look very much the same because that is the form that has had success. Okay, it's the most stable form. It's the form where you're the most consistent, right? So what I look for is, one, the grip. You want your hand to be at 45 degrees, like that. Now I hound on about this stuff because it's critical. You want this elbow, if anything, like a little bit bent, not hyper stretched out. Okay, you don't want to be pushing this up. And what I saw is a lot of the kids with hyper extended elbows. You want to fix this at the light poundages when the kids are young. And like, because when the bow's lighter, this is when you fix up all your form. The other thing you want to look at is the shoulder position. This shoulder wants to be down. And you want this arm in line with the arrow. So when you're looking behind the arrow, this arm here, this arm is in line with the arrow. That's what you want, right? You want the string touching your nose, touching your face lightly, not pushing in. I aimed at the wrong target again, but they're together. So without shooting an arrow, and without knowing who the archers are, I can walk behind an archer, I can see a photo of an archer, and I can tell you who the best archer is on the line. And I'm going to say 95% of the time, 99% of the time, I'm going to be accurate with the scores, because you can just see through the person's form and technique who the best archer is. So I'm going to say spend time looking at yourself, take videos of yourself, take photos of yourself shooting, and critique yourself. It's photo view of yourself will tell you how you look, whether you stand correctly, whether you're leaning back like that, whether you're leaning forward, whether you lean forward, whether you lean back. You want to get the form looking good. That's the starting spot. Let's try and aim at the right target. So even if you don't have a bow that fits you, like this bow clearly doesn't fit me, things should still be aligned. So what I'm doing here to shoot a shorter bow is I'm bending this front arm. Alright, let's go down and see where those arrows are, besides those two that I missed. So, how does it look? Look, I'm more than happy with this group. More than happy. Because basically if I put the sight in the right spot, they'll all be in the gold. There's a little group down here of 4 arrows, 2 high. Look, that is really good. So this bow is aimed at like the 10-year-old to 12-year-old, 8-year-old archer. And if an 8-year-old to 10-year-old who's going to be under 14 in the archery classifications, or if you're in America, you're under 12, because Australia deleted the under 12s by some genius stroke. Whoever did it, you're a genius. No, you're not. You're an idiot. And I don't mind calling people idiots because it's really a stupid move. That would be scores. Actually, I was going to say it's enough to beat most people. No, there's a couple of under 14s who would beat me with that. But my point is, you're going to be competitive, and it's going to take another archer to be a world-class archer to beat you. You're still going to be a good archer with this group, right? So if you're a 8, 9, 10, 12, 13-year-old and you're shooting them all in the gold, you're going to be a good archer. You're going to be able to go to competitions and win most of the time, unless there's that person there who is actually at a world-class level. And I'm going to pick out one here, and there's a girl in our state. Currently her form is excellent. I'll throw up a little picture of her. You can just see her arms in the right position, her shoulders in the right position. She's solid. It's like the perfect technique. When she releases, her hand comes back. It just looks perfect, right? So she would shoot better than that, okay? but you're talking about a person who's winning everything, who can beat all the boys, and then there's going to be other people who say, well, actually, my daughter shoots the same. Look, if you've got the thing, absolutely. Absolutely, there's been great under 12s before, but my point is that with a $170 bow and a cheap set of arrows that match, because if you had arrows that matched this bow, you'd even be better. If I had a proper scope and a proper peep sight, which all lined up, I'd be even better. And if I put some stabilizers on, then we're talking, right? So, but my point is, with a $170 bow, you can be a very, very good archer. Now, I'm just going to talk about a couple of things. This peep sight, you can move it up and move it down. Okay, I wouldn't normally do this for a bow for myself, because you just risk the chance of this peep will move. So if you're shooting competition, you want to lock it so it can't move. But for this bow, this is perfect, because this peep was somewhere down here. This peep was tied in down here, and I moved it up here because this was getting in the way. And I wanted to, because of my long draw length, this was pulling too tight. So, and I would move this plastic sight around the other way. So that's about it. I think it's a fantastic bow. I think at its price, I'm going to say at its price point, but it's hard to, for an 8-year-old, an under 14-year-old, this bow is hard to beat unless you're up to the size of an Elite Ember, which has limb stops. It's got adjustability on let off. It's a better bow, the Elite Ember, but it's heavier. You're talking a bow which is going to be towards 4 pounds versus one which is 1 pound. And the Elite Ember's longer, which is going to be better for peep sight for someone who's bigger. But I would argue for someone who's smaller, like 8, 10, just a smaller person with less muscles, this is probably going to be better than an Elite Ember, because you're going to be able to lift it, you're going to be able to sort of shoot it more, and it's cheap. Cheap. Get started, learn to shoot, and see where things take you. I'm Stephen Hand from Archery Supplies, and the more you shoot, the better you'll shoot. Thanks for watching.